Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. That'll work. Okay. Welcome to everyone who is here, who has joined us this morning for our Bible school service from the North Church, South Church, all over. We had a really fun week learning some new songs. We had some incredible snacks from Linda and Sue's. We had some really cool art projects that we did, and we learned a lot about people from different countries in the world who use different peacemaking strategies, and we learned about different peace strategies used in the daily Bible story. I just want to give a very huge thank you to all the teachers and people who helped do the snacks, music, rec, art, all of that stuff. They made it a great success this week. One person that was left off the bulletin was Albert Kalanji. He helped with the rec, so I just wanted to recognize him also. But it shows all the people that were helpful on the back there. After the service, I encourage all of you to walk around and look at all the classrooms. There's some really fun decorations. And then in the fellowship hall, all the kids' artwork too. So if you have time, go ahead and walk around and see all of that. All right, we're ready for our Bible verse.
Acts chapter 28 through 26 through 40. Philip and the Ethiopian official were from different countries and had different life experiences, yet they came together to talk and learn from each other. They didn't allow their differences to keep them apart, no matter who we interact with. We can practice welcoming and respecting people who we do not share our point of view, interests, and experiences.
Day 1 recap. All people are part of God's family. We are called to extend God's love to all people. Be friends with those different from us. Try to learn something from someone different. Use the 3-finger piece strategy. When a problem arises, take 3 deep breaths. Think of 2 ways to handle it. Take 1 action to try to solve it.
Day 2 recap. Matthew 25. Day 2 recap. Matthew 25, 31 through 46. Jesus tells a parable of separating people like sheep and goats for judgment. The sheep are welcomed into the kingdom because they have cared for Jesus when he was hungry, thirsty, a stranger, naked, sick, and in prison. The sheep wonder whether they have seen this. Jesus answers that whenever they care for the least of his brothers and sisters, they have cared for him. The goats are told that when they fail to care for others, they fail to care for Jesus.
We can care for the facility and emotional needs of others. We should find ways to show acts of kindness and help others. We could invite someone to play, listen when someone is sad, say kind words, help at home, be nice to everyone at school.
God's way of peace is asking for help. Sometimes it's letting our anger drop. Sometimes God's way of peace is saying sorry. Sometimes God's way is peace is saying Oh, let us walk. Oh, let us sing.
Oh, let us pray.
In the way of peace, a child will be born to bring peace on earth. It starts with me and you today.
Oh, let us speak.
Hello. Oh, let us dance.
Cha cha cha.
Oh, let us breathe. In the way of peace, a child will be born to bring peace on earth. It starts with me and you today. Let us do everything we can do to bring peace between me and you and everyone we meet.
Oh, let us swing.
Oh, let us wave.
Hi.
Oh, let us wiggle. In the way of peace, a child will be born to bring peace on earth. It starts with me and you today. Oh, let us shout.
Hooray!
Oh, let us clap.
Oh, let us march.
In the way of peace, a child will be born to bring peace on earth. It starts with me and you today. It starts with me and you today.
Day 3 recap. 1 Samuel 25, 1 through 35. David and his men are hiding near the fields of Nabal, a rich and selfish man. David's soldiers help protect Nabal's flock. Nabal insults David's soldiers by excluding them from a feast. David calls for war, but Nabal's wife Abigail quickly makes a plan. She loads food on her donkeys and goes out to speak to David. She apologizes for Nabal's behavior. David accepts Abigail's gifts and calls off the fighting.
Day 3 recap. Help us bring peace to those who don't get along. Choose a way of peace over fighting. Find ways to calm down when you feel angry.
A peace strategy might be to count to 10, take deep breaths, close your eyes, talk and listen, say sorry, eat together, or find a win-win solution.
Our offering for this Bible school was Family First UG, and it was founded by Matthew and Kelly Erdman. And you might remember the Erdmans who were at the South Church. It is their son. So him and his wife wanted to support refugee children and families that were living in one of the most impoverished slums in Uganda. And the verse that kind of got them to want to do this was James 2:16, that says, if one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? The goal that they have for this program that they started is to equip vulnerable families to break the cycle of dependency and poverty. They started 2 different programs. One is an early childhood program that teaches ages 3 to 5-year-olds, and they wanted to make sure that these kids were ready to go into 1st grade in the public school. And then their parents would have saved money during that time also to help continue their education. And the second program that they started was a parent empowerment program, and that helped provide basic business classes and a loan in order to get them to be self-sufficient. So over the week, after day one's offering, I asked the kids to have a goal of how much we could raise for the week. One was 500, I think one was $1 million, so we went with the 500. Although $1 million would have been great. And after the first 4 days, we had $314. And so I just kind of gave them a challenge for that last day. If you can, anyone you see, just see if they can give a couple dollars for it. And just on our last day on Friday, we got $300 alone. So then our total was $614. So that was pretty exciting. Yeah. Amongst the airplanes hanging in the entry there's also little doves that are on little circle things hanging, and each one of those represented $5. So we just hung those every day after we got our offering. If you would like to also give to that cause, we're going to have some kids standing with baskets in the back on the way out. So if you see cute little kids with baskets, those are the kids to give the money to if you want to help support this cause. If you could please stand and turn to page 719 in the Voices Together, we're going to sing Help Us Live in Peace.
Day 4 recap, Genesis 26:12-33. Isaac digs wells in a dry land. His crops and flocks prosper, but the neighbors grow jealous and fill the wells up. So Isaac moves away and digs new wells. The new neighbors also quarrel over the water, so Isaac moves again. God promises to be with Isaac and his family, and Isaac worships God. King Abimelech realizes God is with Isaac, and they feast together and promise not to hurt each other.
We need to realize that sometimes it's important to walk away from a conflict and cool off, and sometimes you need to stay and talk through a difficult situation to find a solution. We need to remember to choose peace over violence.
destroy. God is a good God. Yes, God is. 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 God made the moon. God made the stars. God made the sun and chocolate bars. God is a good God. Yes, God is. God is a good God. Yes, God is. God is a good God. Yes, God is. God is a good God. Yes, God is.
Day 5 recap. Luke 10:25 through 30. Okay. Day 5 recap. Luke 10:25 through 37. A lawyer asks Jesus how to receive life with God. Jesus asks what the law says. The lawyer says to love God and one's neighbor, and then asks, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus tells a story about a robbed and wounded traveler. A priest and a Levite pass without helping, but a Samaritan stops, takes the man to an inn and to recover and pays his bill. Jesus tells his listeners to go and do the same. When we see someone who's hurt or needs help, give us the courage to respond no matter who they are. May we show love in all situations, especially to those who might need typically avoid or ignore. We need to see all people as neighbors worthy of love, respect, and kindness.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We had some of this stuff too here. Yeah. Okay. Whoops. All right, well, I appreciate everyone coming today, and I hope you enjoyed watching the children and hearing the children what we did for the week. We just have a little blessing here before we go. Oh, just kidding. We are not done. Everyone sit down. No, go back to your spots.
Estelle, thank you so much for joining me on stage. You are our only 8th grader here this morning that attended Bible school this last week. We had 2 8th graders in our class. And I want, first of all, before I begin asking a couple questions about the week, I want you to just take a moment to look out at the congregation. It's likely that none of these people who have gone through Bible school would want to sit on stage with their pastor on Bible School Sunday and answer some questions. In the old days, they used to have a Bible school graduation and even had perfect attendance. And I remember those who got perfect attendance for all 8 years of Bible school was something else. Now, Estelle and I were talking, and she didn't get to have 8 years of Bible school because of COVID, so you had 7 years of Bible school. And as we think a little bit about your Bible school experience today, Estelle, I'm thinking 7 years of Bible school, that's a lot of lunches. Can you tell me what was your go-to lunch that you often packed or found in your sack lunch on these wonderful days?
A sandwich and chips and cookies and maybe some carrots that we didn't eat.
Sometimes the carrots were recycled for the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Good. Well, it's been so good to have you in class again, and of course, as you think back on your 7 years, there are times where we're here at the North Church, and there are times where we're at the South Church. You've had a few teachers throughout the years. Do you remember some of your earlier teachers in those early years?
I don't really remember anything before 4th and 5th grade, but I remember, I think it was in 5th grade, we had Cindy and Audrey Graber, and we were in that double room over there, and we got to have a big banquet meal. That was pretty fun.
Nice. That's very good with that. Those teachers, you know, they gave so much to prepare the lessons, and I'm sure had some funny mannerisms as well, and interesting personalities that came. And I got to have you as a student 2 years, last year and this year. You made a lot of crafts during that time. That's a lot of glue sticks, and a lot of colors. And is there anything that comes to mind with the crafts that you made in these 7 years?
I do remember we made a mustard tree, and it was on poster board, and then we put shaving cream, and I think we put some green food coloring in it, and then we sprinkled mustard seeds on it, and then when my shaving cream dried, all the seeds fell off. So.
Yes, as they may happen. You've also had a lot of music throughout the years, and by the end of the week, the songs are just like stuck in your head, right, in a good way. Do you remember any songs from going way back when?
No, not really.
Nope. But you remember this week's songs, right? Yes, of course. They will continue to stir in your heart as well. Are there any humorous moments that you would care to tell about? You know, sometimes not everything goes as planned in Bible school, and there are moments where it's like, oh, I didn't expect that, and that's kind of interesting or funny. Anything that come to your mind?
This week, Oliver.
This week, something happened.
This week.
Okay, all right.
Oliver was taking a drink of my water, and then I apparently made him laugh, and he sprayed it all over. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, there was a sprayage of water, wasn't there? And that was interesting. Unplanned, but very, very good. Well, I wanted to ask you, Estelle, if as we think a little bit more deeply about this, as we look around, that the children have enjoyed this week. But when you were a young student as Bible school started, as opposed to now as an 8th grader, are there ways that your faith has not only just learned about the Bible studies, but grown in your faith? Could you reflect with us a little bit on how that has happened?
Yeah, so when you're young, you just come to Bible school and you have fun and you learn the Bible stories, but now you kind of retain them and then you can apply them to everyday life. And then with Pastor Corey, we always go in deep with the stories and we can apply them to everything.
Yeah. So the faith formation continues on, and it's been a wonderful thing. Speaking of some of those things, we learned a few things this week, didn't we, Estelle? When we looked at the story of the Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, we learned that the Greek word for eunuch means
Keeper of the bed.
Keeper of the bed. So we did not know that before Bible school, did we? I'm not sure I knew that before Bible school. We also learned that the story of Dirk Willems, who provided a creative, nonviolent way of responding to the person who is pursuing him. The story of Dirk Willems is found in a very old and large book. What was the name of that book?
The Martyr's Mirror, or the Bloody Theater.
The Martyr's Mirror, yes. And we also learned that back in the day, the young Amish people, when they got married, that was a wedding gift that was often given to them, which was interesting for us to think about. Yeah, all right. Well, we think about Bible school and all the memories and all the experiences, everything from Monty's snow cones to the smell of the glue and new markers and crayons. Are there other scents, or are there other sentiments that come to you as you think about Bible school?
Not really, but I can see where the glue would be a strong scent. Yes, going into the crafts.
Yes, well, this year we had just, again, so many wonderful helpers making our rooms look nice and beautiful, and the decorations, that's so cool. And thank you for, you and Solomon they also participated in the skits every day. So you were not only a student, you were on the staff as well, and so we greatly appreciate that. So, Estelle, this is sort of your graduation. Bible school is over for you, but hopefully you will be back and join in and eventually even teach some of the little ones that are coming sometime down the road. What advice or counsel would you give to all the younger students here? You are our outgoing 8th grader. What advice would you give to these students as they think about Bible school?
For the younger ones, have fun and learn as much as you can. And for the older ones, have fun and don't mess around too much and pay attention.
And would you have any advice for the rest of us here? Because you know what? As we learned about peacemaking today, this is not just a synopsis of what happened in Bible school. This is actually a word of invitation for us all to be peacemakers. Any words of counsel, advice for anyone else? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, Estelle, it's been a joy to have you in class, particularly these last 2 years. So grateful that you've been able to join in the Bible school, and may God bless you as you continue your faith journey from here on out. And with that, I'd also offer a word of thanks again. Lacey, my goodness, you just had a baby not long ago, and here you were leading this week so wonderfully, and for all of the teachers and for all the helpers in that back room looking at Vernetta getting it done, and we got conference next weekend, and wow, and the music and the recreation people, and for the prayers, thank you again for the prayers. Because of your prayers, this week was as great as it was, and we really do have an important mandate to go out and be God's peacemakers in the world. And I'm wondering if I could ask the kids, that first song was so wonderful, to have them come up and sing Passport to Peace. Could you do that one more time? And then the blessing. That'd be great. Thank you, Estelle.
And Corey just made me realize I had another rookie mistake here, besides almost forgetting his part. I did not list the drama people. So Wendy Miller was kind of in charge of that, and then we had Estelle and Solomon Ortman.
peace. We can make new friends. We can say how we feel. We can offer a hand or share a meal. We can ask for help when things are so wrong. We can join in God's story. We can join in God's song. Grab your passport to peace. Passport to peace. Here, there, anywhere God's love will lead us. Round the world or just down the street. Grab your passport. Passport to peace. Sometimes God's way of peace is saying sorry. Sometimes God's way of peace is saying stop. Sometimes God's way of peace is asking for help. Sometimes it's letting our anger drop. Sometimes God's way of peace is saying sorry. Sometimes God's way is peace is saying stop. Sometimes God's way of peace is asking for help. Sometimes it's letting our anger drop. Grab your passport to peace. Passport to peace. Here, there, anywhere God's love will lead us. Round the world or just down the street. Grab your passport. Passport to peace. Round the world or just down the street. Grab your passport. Passport to peace.
May God's peace be in you. May God's peace be in me. May God's peace fill the world and everyone's human needs. Thank you.
Grab your passport to peace. Passport to peace. Here, there, anywhere God's love will lead us. Round the world or just down the street. Grab your passport. Passport to peace. We refuse to hate. We refuse to fight. We will speak up for what is right. We will talk it out. We will listen well. We will share God's love and offer help. Grab your passport to peace. Passport to peace. Here, there, anywhere God's love will lead us. Round the world or just down the street. Grab your passport. Passport to peace. We can make new friends. We can say how we feel. We can offer a hand or share a meal. We can ask for help when things are so wrong. We can join in God's story. We can join in God's song. Grab your passport to peace. Passport to peace. Here, there, anywhere God's love will lead us. Round the world or just down the street. Grab your passport. Passport to peace. Sometimes God's way of peace is saying sorry. Sometimes God's way of peace is saying stop. Sometimes God's way of peace is asking for help. Sometimes it's letting